Howdy Rockstars. One of the inevitable things you're going to deal with when you deal with people who have chronic pain is WorkCover or other third parties that pay for treatment. Now, we've spoken about this before, that WorkCover is a negative correlate of recovery. So the longer you're involved with WorkCover, the less likely you are to get better, which is shit. But it gets very murky with these lengthy claims particularly when we start talking about lawyers become involved and we start talking about payouts and total permanent disability and all the things that insurers and lawyers look at cases and try to come up with a solution, or at least an outcome. It may not be a solution. Where the person that it centers around can often suffer even more for two reasons. One is that conversation tends to get very nuts and bolts, right? Like as if the person's a car and they're talking about the percentage of damage and how much chance there is for recovery in the future. But the other thing is that it sets up a fairly dichotomous choice where on one hand, they've got accepting this payout, which, you know, financially is particularly after not working as much as you could for a long time, you can understand why that's tempting, but it means you have to accept, even subconsciously, that you're probably not going to get better. And that does things to people. Whereas on the other hand, if you want to continue to try and recover or improve, particularly in a situation where you haven't yet, you're going to have to reject something that is financially quite appealing. So it's really, really hard for a person, even if they're conscious of that, to make a decision that is much harder, but probably, depending on the situation, probably better for them in the long run. So these are really hard conversations to have with people, and you have to declare your own interests, right? Like recommending people do rehab, we get paid for that. I mean, our financial windfall is nowhere near in the realm of what some of these lawyers are suggesting. But what the person that has the claim has to remember is that anyone who's giving them advice has some interest in it, right? So particularly if there's a lawyer involved or a surgeon involved that is recommending a course of action, part of the sort of informed consent is that person understands what is involved to compensate that person giving advice, including the physio, including GP, including rehab provider, all of it. So those people really have to declare their interest, and they're not very good at that. So helping people have these thoughts and think about it properly is part of our job, not to influence them one way or the other, but just to make sure that when they do make a decision, it is fully informed. So they know they're making the right one for them at that point in time. But for us as rehab professionals, we really need to keep that in the back of our heads, the influence that those particularly financial things have on people's decision making, particularly when they're quite vulnerable, and the effect that has on them in the moment and then down the track as we continue to try and help them.